If you photograph people or do portraits, there is one thing that will mark your work as amateur every single time right away, and that's failing to control contrast. I don't mean a slider in Lightroom. I mean getting it right in the camera. And I'm going to show you how to do that quickly and easily every time. Welcome to the channel, Hayward here. If you hear some noise outside, it is absolutely storming, so I'm glad I'm doing this video indoors today. Contrast is the ball game when you're photographing people, and I'm going to show you how to do it perfectly every time, make it super repeatable and easy. I'm going to simplify a technique for you to control contrast through lighting ratio every single time, whether you use constant lights, flash, whether you're shooting indoors or outdoors. Okay, here's the setup we're going to use to illustrate what I'm talking about. We're going to use one light on a face to illustrate lighting ratio, which is how you control contrast. Everything I'm going to show you in this simple setup can be applied to the most complicated indoor or outdoor lighting setups. To control the contrast in your portraits, you have to understand and be able to apply what's called a lighting ratio. A lighting ratio is very simple. It is the difference between the meter reading of the highlight side of the face and the meter reading of the shadow side of the face. You may have heard a lot more complex explanations, and if I were teaching you how to get certified for your PPA exam, we could go into a lot more detail, but you don't need that to get great portraits. So obviously, in order to do this, you need to be able to measure the light. I'm going to show you the simplest way. You may not want to do it, but the simplest way is to have an incident light meter that measures the light that is falling on the subject. It's not the only way. You can use your camera to, if you want to get close, to take a meter reading here and a meter reading there. That's fine. It'll work. Do it any way that works for you. I do it this way because it's by far the quickest. Okay, you saw from the setup that we're just using one light that is over here lighting this side of the face, right? So one light setup. So how can I have a ratio? Well, the ratio is the difference between the light this light puts on the face and the light that's in the room from the overhead light. That's the most basic way to understand this. So first, what I'm going to do is turn the main light off and then take a reading. Okay, the video may be a little underexposed right now, but that is the ambient light that is in the room. And if I take a reading at the subject's face, it tells me we're at 1.4.8. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, right? That is your base or shadow side light level. It's that simple. That's the first part of your ratio. Now let's turn the main light back on. Okay, now with the main light back on, what I'm going to do is from the same spot, take a meter reading, and we're at 4.0, right? So the difference between the key main light and the fill light is F4 to right under F2, F1.8 or so. Does that make sense? Who cares about the math? That's the difference. And do you like the way it looks? And can you repeat the way it looks? Okay, so what have we learned here? We have learned our lighting ratio. We're at F4 with the key light, and without the key light, we're at F1.4. So what's our ratio? (1.4 to 2 is 1, 2 to 2.8 is 2, 2.8 to 4 is 3. So our lighting ratio is 3 to 1. Three stops of key light, one stop of fill light. Don't jump in the comments and start talking about formal equations and math and all that. I am just demonstrating this as a very basic way to be able to repeat your photography. This is not a university course in lighting. Okay, so let's get that clear. I am just showing you how to control your contrast by being able to have a repeatable lighting ratio. This is repeatable whether you are using flash, So if you've got a base level of exposure and you add flash, works the same way. If you've got a fill light, you measure the fill light and then add the key light. You still have a ratio so you can understand how much contrast you have in your image. If you get a contrast, like if you like the level of this contrast, great. Then all you have to do every time is make sure your key light is 3 stops above your fill light. If that's too contrasty for you, change it. But you can dial it in every single time. I hope this has been helpful and interesting to you. As always, if you have questions on it, hit me up in the comments. If you'd like to dive deeper into subjects like this, check out my one-on-one coaching link in the comments. Thank you for watching this video. Until the next time, cheers.